Trump goes after Arizona's Mark Milley, and I believe actually he's setting up to go after Mark Milley. I'll explain in this video. First, we're going to do Mark Milley on the Katie Couric Show. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Check this out right here. This is Mark Milley on Katie Couric.
We put out that video because I know people are really unsettled in the U.S. military. Are they crossing a line? And it is just...
That's just an opinion of his, that the military are upset that they could be crossing a line, obeying Trump's orders. So he invented this, claiming that they're upset, wondering if they should follow his orders. They won't say what orders they're supposed to follow, of course.
So let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but
a reminder to them that in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, it clearly states that members of the military have to follow orders, but they are not required. They actually are not allowed to follow illegal orders.
But they did follow illegal orders under Biden. All the vaccine passport stuff, all the vaccines, or terminate them, the withdrawal and surrender in Afghanistan. What about Clinton under Benghazi? How come no one's told those soldiers when they were told to stand down that they're allowed to obey unlawful orders suddenly?
Sometimes it can be hard for people to distinguish what is legal and what isn't. And it's really challenging for them to navigate this. We wanted to let them know that if they have to make this kind of decision, we have their backs.
They already know it, you idiot. This is a political move on your part. You weren't informing anybody of everything. Every service member knows that you do not obey an unlawful, illegal order. You moron. Here's Trump, because I believe he's setting up Milley. We're going to go into Mark Milley, the actual charges against him that they're aiming for. Here's Trump. He says the F word here, but I'm sorry. We'll try and edit it out.
You got a $50 million airplane.
He's talking about Milley giving away the $50 million airplane and abandoning the airport in Afghanistan, which we spent $2 billion on, leaving $80 billion worth of hard military equipment that they ended up using to fund their terrorists. They got all their weaponry from us, and they turn around and pay our influencers to go against Israel here. Here's Trump on Milley, General Milley.
$29 million gorgeous helicopter. We had every type of helicopter. Many of them brand new, literally out of the box. 28, 29 million. We have 60, $70 million planes. You mean you think it's cheaper to leave it there so they can have it than it is to fill it up with a half a tank of gas and fly it into Pakistan or fly it back to our country? You think, yes, sir, we think it's cheaper, sir. That's when I realized he was a f***ing idiot.
I'm sorry.
Laughing at a general, as they should, because he is an idiot of some kind. Trump was just saying, look, refuel the plane and fly it back here. And I did the nose art on one of those refueling C-135s out of Beale Air Force Base in California. I did the nose art on old granddad, and they gave that flag back there is what they gave me with a certificate saying that my art has flown. That came with the flag, certified, the flag presented to Doug TeNapel on behalf of the sergeant. The Expeditionary Security Forces Squadron Flyaway Security Team and crew aircraft was deployed to Southwest Asia, supporting America's war on terrorism through Operation. This flag, accompanying flag, and my art was flown in 2017 in your honor aboard the USAF C-130 aircraft during combat missions over Kuwait and Iraq. So that refueling is correct. What they also don't bring up, because I believe Trump's going after Mark Milley, General Mark Milley is an idiot. Milley is the one who told China he would give them notice if the U.S. were to attack. That's treason. Said that China is not our enemy, gave the order not to shoot down the Chinese spy balloon, and left military equipment in Afghanistan. Okay, here's the charges on Mark Milley, the bald guy in Arizona. Official statement from the Department of War. The Department of War has received serious serious allegations of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelley, USN retired, in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And this Code of Military Justice applies to every member of the military disparaging the president. 10 USC 688 and other applicable regulations. A thorough review of these allegations has been initiated and determined further actions, which may include recall to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures. Just because you're retired, if you're receiving a government pension, you still have to obey the military code of conduct. You can't disparage the president, the commander-in-chief. That's where I think he can go back and get all these generals, military guys, including Lloyd Austin. This matter will be handled in compliance with military law, ensuring due process and impartiality. Further official comments will be limited to preserve the integrity of the proceedings. They don't want to give away too much to the opposing JAG lawyer, the military lawyers. The Department of War reminds all individuals that military retirees remain subject to the UCMJ for applicable offenses and federal laws such as 18 USC 2387 to prohibit actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. Any violations will be addressed through appropriate legal channels. You have a legal obligation to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. That's the rule. A service member's personal philosophy does not justify or excuse disobedience of an unlawful order. By the way, I first heard this argument of presenting this military code of conduct by Victor Davis Hanson, has been saying this for 3 years. So the Trump administration is listening to someone who knows. Look, here's something I tweeted way back in October of over a year ago of General Milley breaking his code of conduct.
I think this strategy from Harris was a Google strategy. She wanted Fox viewers to start to Google some of the things she was saying, because some of the comments she was making in this interview are foreign to the Fox audience. For example, General Mark Milley saying Trump is a fascist to the core. That's barely been covered on Fox News.
General Mark Milley said Trump is fascist to the core. That's Seltzer on CNN thinking he's making this amazing point. He's really announcing General Mark Milley's guilt that he said Trump was fascist to a core. He's a retired general. That USC code of conduct applies to him. And I believe Trump's going after him, and I hope he does. Hope he gets him good. Look, here's a few memes from you guys. Here's Mark Kelley. No one's above the law. I like that one. Here's Abe Lincoln. Rebellion detected, and he's got lightning coming out of his eyes. Here's Senator Mark Kelley needs to be held accountable for his reckless and dangerous comments as a retired captain. Captain Mark Kelley knows better, but he wants to sow resistance and rebellion in the ranks. What a traitor. Do you agree? Let me know in the chat below. Here's Grok. For 18 USC interfering with armed forces, loyal morale. Penalties include fines for up to 20 years imprisonment or both. Yeah, put Mark Kelley in prison for 20 years. Under UCMJ, relevant violations like Article 94, mutiny, sedition, can result in death. That's to the military people under Mark Kelley that he's trying to encourage to disobey orders. Death or other court-martial punishments, Article 92, disobeying orders, may lead to dishonorable discharge, forfeiture of pay, or confinement of up to 2 years. That's what all those Democrat ex-military wanted to subject their useful idiots to in the military, trying to encourage them to disobey Trump orders. USC 688 enables recall to active duty for trial, but has no direct penalties. And finally, here they are. Here's Exhibit A. This is Glenn Kirshner. He's a fellow influencer. I believe in Mark Milley's words that we do not show loyalty or fealty to a king or a dictator or a tyrant. We in the military show loyalty to the Constitution. I don't think the military will obey unlawful orders. At least that is my fervent hope. Again, this was earliest this year, the earliest Democrat to encourage the military to start making up their own rules and claim that they're obeying unlawful commands.
I was an Army JAG. You know what got drilled into my head in officer basic and at the JAG school where they send us before they launch us out to our first assignment? You must obey lawful orders, but even more importantly, you must disobey unlawful orders. I believe there are more Mark Milleys in the military than there are Mike Flynns. And I think where the rubber meets the road.
He's against Mark Flynn and for Mark Milley. I say we flush out all the Mark Milleys from the military and court-martial them. Subscribe if you appreciate this content. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is there an insurrection going on in our military by the Democrats? I'm Doug, in exile.